So there's four ways to slice the pie of carbon emissions. One is, how much has a country emitted in total? Total emissions makes some countries look really bad. It makes the US and China especially get the most attention. Together we emit 40%. China's are rising quite quickly. But it's not very fair because there's 1.3 billion people in China, and it's not very fair to expect them to emit less than a country that has 1/4 that many. A better indicator really is per capita emissions. So each person's carbon emissions are averaged over a country, and then in general it would be a fairer world if everybody was emitting about the same amount per person. Another way is historical responsibility. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases stay in the atmosphere for decades or centuries, so the countries that have put stuff up there should be responsible for what was put up there. This, of course, is very hard on Europe and the US, or harder on us, and it helps the countries that are much more recently developing. And then the last way of accounting is called carbon intensity, or greenhouse gas intensity, or emissions intensity. So the idea there is it's how much stuff we pump up there for how much GDP we have, how big our economy is. So it's kind of a measure of how efficient we are as a country. And in general, our economies are becoming more efficient as we're adopting this technology that's been developed over the decades. But the problem with that indicator is the atmosphere doesn't care how big our economy is. The temperature will rise if we're emitting more stuff, more greenhouse gases. China right now, its economy is growing very quickly. And while it's becoming less carbon intense, more efficient, it's still emitting a lot more than it used to. So really, we have to look at emissions as a planet, but in terms of equity, we should be looking at probably per capita emissions.